Hello, AC 636 participants, to the second external vision of teaching. I have uploaded the information that you will need for this assessment to the Moodle account. And since you're registered for the assessment, you should be able to access this information that you see on the Moodle screen right now. There is the document for the context, directions, and criteria, the self-assessment that you'll be using. This is just to show you what the self-assessment looks like. The actual self-assessment form is, of course, on the DDP already. And then the candidate timeline. But just a few words about the assessment to begin with. This is called a vision of teaching because it's an opportunity for you to take a look at all the work you've done to date, but most especially the work that's included on the DDP. So all your field experiences, the uploads that you did for 611 and 612, and your other 2 LTM classes, and indeed anything that you have on the DDP. It's an opportunity to look at all of that and say, this is where I stand now in the program. And to use a metaphor to capture where you stand right now, and to talk about your vision of teaching within the context of that metaphor. So, for example, if your metaphor for teaching is the road to discovery, and you are discovering yourself, well, what do you discover about yourself in teaching through the Take a Learner to Lunch paper that you did in 611, or through the units that you've created in some other of your LTM classes? So, it's an opportunity for you to think about metaphors, because down the road you'll be doing your portfolio, and many students choose to embed a theme through a metaphor in their portfolio. It also gives you an opportunity to reflect on everything that you've done thus far in the LTM program, and it also gives you an opportunity to give feedback, because this is a partner assessment. You'll be working with one other LTM individual. So let's go and take a look at the context, directions, and criteria. And you'll see that we have provided a rationale, which I've spoken to a bit. What is the essential question, the enduring understanding of this assessment? That you can have an opportunity to integrate your learning in order to build effective learning communities and plan effective instruction and assessment. Here's our essential questions, the assessment itself, and here's the scenario. You have been invited to participate in a peer coaching session. You and a fellow LTM candidate who will serve as your peer coaching partner will give and receive feedback on your ability to articulate learning across the first 4 LTM courses. Afterwards, you and your peer will receive feedback from an administrator coach and your assessor, and you will have an opportunity to set goals for your ongoing professional development. So here are the criteria. We want you to continue to use theoretical frameworks, the teaching standards, the Alverno education abilities, and prior field experiences to articulate a vision of teaching. It's a kind of philosophy of ed, but it's much broader and it's much deeper than a one-page philosophy of education. Do you demonstrate in this assessment appropriate professionalism through timeliness, that you come on time and you're prepared, through your dress, that you come dressed professionally, and through your demeanor as you interact professionally with your peer coach as well as the assessor? Do you use evidence and the invitational learning framework to provide feedback and communicate insights and challenge peer thinking? So remember what invitational education is all about from Perky and Novak. Do you write at the graduate level? This is something that's done outside of the assessment. You come prepared to the assessment, so this should represent your very best writing. Do you genuinely seek constructive feedback and thoughtfully consider other perspectives as you act in that peer coaching capacity? And do you set realistic goals for the remainder of your time in the program based upon feedback? So before the assessment day itself, these are the directions that you should follow to be prepared. On the day of the assessment, what do you bring to the assessment? And then after your peer feedback, you'll participate in a follow-up discussion with your peer and administrative coach. You'll set realistic goals, and then finally you'll complete the self-assessment template that's on the DDP. So let's take a look at that self-assessment. Of course, it's going to mirror criteria. Do you effectively use theoretical frameworks, teacher standards, Alverno abilities, and field experiences, among other artifacts, to demonstrate a clear vision of what you see as good teaching? Do you demonstrate appropriate professionalism through timeliness, dress, and demeanor before, during, and after the assessment? Do you demonstrate graduate writing ability? Do you effectively provide feedback and insights to your peer coach? Do you seek feedback thoughtfully and professionally from your peer coach? And do you set realistic goals based upon that feedback? And you fill in this area with the level you think you're achieving. So if you use theoretical frameworks well in your written vision of teaching, then you might score yourself at the proficient level, perhaps even at the distinctive level. Hopefully nobody is going to score themselves in one of these two levels, because it means that you're not ready or you haven't prepared well enough for the assessment. So you can actually begin to fill this out in advance of the assessment, and especially in terms of your writing up in here. I think if you know what you're going to wear, you can say something about that down here, but certainly wait to add more comments about your demeanor during the actual assessment. I would encourage you to download the self-assessment from the DDP, because it has areas where that will expand as you type in, and they will remain they will configure appropriately. If you use this for particular form, the columns may not line up as they should. So use the self-assessment that's on the DDP. So we will go out of this, and then we'll take a look at the timeline. Now, of course, your assessment is going to be on Friday, December 7th. It's going to be from 4:45 to 7:30, Friday, December 7th. We'd like you to arrive at 5:45 in TL 110. That's in the computer center. And check in, relax, have a cup of coffee, and then go to your assigned rooms by 5:10. And at that point, you'll have a half an hour to review your peer coach's vision of teaching, write comments, prepare questions, provide feedback. Your assessor at that particular time will also be looking at both of the peer coach visions of teaching and begin to provide feedback on his or her feedback template. And then from 5:45 to 6:15 is when both of you will be giving feedback to each other. Then the administrator coach, the assessor, will join you in some conversation as well. And then remember to set goals at the end of this particular time frame, certainly by 6:45. If you happen to finish a little bit earlier than that, that's okay too. We don't want to have artificial time limits here. Then you will return to TL 110 around this particular time, so that you've got a good half hour to complete the self-assessment template. Then, of course, you will upload the self-assessment to the DDP, and you will upload your vision of teaching essay to the work area on that same page. But you're pretty well familiar with uploading to the DDP at this particular time. So I hope that this screencast helps you to understand this assessment and the expectations of this assessment. If you do have any additional questions, you can always email me, but we hope that these are fairly self-explanatory. I wish you much success on Friday the 7th, and I look forward to congratulating you in a subsequent email. Take care. Bye for now.